the Tournament Poker Project. I'm Jon.
And I'm Tain.
And we are two recreational poker players. And this is our journey to get good enough at poker to be able to go and feel comfortable playing in the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas, baby.
It's going on now, man. It's going on now. Have you seen it in the
news?
news?
It starts in, doesn't it start like at the start of June, the first one?
Oh, I have no idea. All the media that I'm consuming of poker, I just can't stop talking about it. So I assumed it was already running.
It's really, and obviously we're not going this year, and we're probably not going to go next year. But I'm getting really excited, and I always do. Like in this time, and you hear all the podcasts of people, and they're preparing to go, and they're talking about what you need to get to Vegas, you know, and the things you need to do. It's like, that's going to be us one day, man.
Yeah, like I'm going to send a message to whoever wins it this year, just saying, you know, look after that for me. Look after that bracelet and come here.
Well, you can't. I think you get a new bracelet every year. Like I don't think they.
If they get a trophy, keep it warm. But that's only yours for a year, mate.
Yeah, baby. Absolutely.
I'll be there next year.
100%. So how have you been, man? You good?
Yeah, not too bad. Not doing too much. I was looking at the Download Festival, catching up with all the bands that I am either nice and in tune with because they're reliving their past, like Metallica, but also about 100 bands that are. It's what all the kids are into these days, which are probably brilliant artists, but I just don't recognise them. So I've been trying to catch up with, you know, what the youth of today listen to. And sadly, I've said that, and anyone listening is probably thinking, "Oh, mate, the Download Festival's for old people, mate." No one under the age of 30 goes there.
But you're really old, so you don't even know what the bands are.
Well, I'll get to hang out with all the 30-year-olds. Woo!
Shit, man. So what you think? Are you thinking of going? You're actually thinking of going?
No. Just catching up with it. It's not off the. I looked at the lineup and I was like, okay, I actually recognise some of these bands. So I thought I'd see where they're at, catch up, see what music they're doing. Is it new albums or is it just, you know, trying to make a living off something they did 20 years ago still?
Well, I don't mind. It's good fun. As long as it's the music I remember, they can play all the old stuff as far as I'm concerned.
Metallica are doing 2 nights, so it really is going to be all the old stuff and all the new stuff. Amazing. 2 nights.
I went to Download. I went there probably like 5 or 6 years ago now. We went with my wife Cassie's cousin Ethan, and I was like, yeah, you know, I used to like a bit of rock and a bit of grunge, a bit of metal, so I'll go to it. And yeah, it's quite hardcore. I mean, for the very first band come on, I'm not going to repeat the name of the band because it was really offensive, and just immediately they were like, I want to see 2 circle pits, and then just this massive circle opened up, and I was on the edge of it with Cass, and we were like, well, what the fuck? And then people were like running around, jumping around. They all started like beating each other up, not, you know, like a mosh pit style, beating up in the middle. It was I liked it. It was brilliant. I mean, I didn't partake in the mosh pit, but it was fun being right up and personal with it.
They'll be able to smell your fear. They'd come for you, Jon. Bash your granny.
And then I would kill them all.
Yeah, how's your week? You've been doing all right? Anything fun?
Yeah, up and down, you know, working full time, so it's always a tough week, but working from home on Thursdays today, so that's nice. Always really nice. It's still a busy day, but it's nice being at home with your comforts and whatnot.
Bit of poker on your lunch?
No, I haven't gone down. I've never gone down that route. I think I would. I think that's a slippery slope for me. Poker in the day while I'm working. I think I'd just be like, oh, maybe I could just have one on in the background. Like I can't. I need to focus, and I would not be focusing. So.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit during my lunch, but then there's specific games that can never go on for more than 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Good cool. To keep up the practice, though, isn't it? So, what's your bankroll looking like?
My live is just below £200, pure profit, and my online's gone up quite a bit. For one reason or another, is now at about 145, which is pretty good.
Amazing. My live is still -10. So obviously that's starting from 0. So it's not too, I've played a bit, so it's not bad. I mean, obviously it'd be better if it was positive, but it's not bad considering I've played a few games now. So -10. And then my online bankroll is up to £183. And I've think I've got enough. Well, it's not an accurate ROI, but I've got like 65 games I've played now, and recorded the buy-in, where I placed, how much, any add-ons or rebuys, and then how much paid out. And I'm on a 33% ROI, I'm very proud to say. So long may that continue.
Yeah, that's quality. You're getting into the kind of hands where the variance on that's starting to become unlikely. I mean, the chances of that being variance, especially as you can feel that your play is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the variance just isn't, it's just not going to hold tight. That is going to turn into a factual, that is your ROI.
Maybe. They say that you can't really say that's your ROI until you've played 500 hands minimum. And really, you want about 1,000, not hands, games. You want to play 500 to 1,000 games before you can say that's my ROI. But it's going the right way anyway. You know, maybe I've suddenly gone a massive losing streak, and that will come down. But yeah, I'd like to think that 60 is starting to give me a bit of a feel for the fact that maybe I can start to proudly say I'm a profitable player at the micro stakes.
But then and the thing is, like, you go, as much as you want to have 10,000 sit and goes and multi-tables under your belt, the time scales that allow for that is minimal. So the only thing we've got as a barometer of success is we sit down and we go through a hand history. We go through one you lost and work out how many mistakes you made. You go through the ones you won and work out if you got lucky or you sweet played good value or anything like that. And as long as you're making the right moves, you've got to assume that your ROI is close to where it should be.
Yeah. Well, I hear that anything, if you've got any kind of positive ROI, then you're doing pretty good. But for micro stakes, 20% seems to be considered very good. So yeah, I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased. I hope it stays that way as I start moving up the stake levels. So are you ready for a hand, Tain?
Yes, no worries. Just to say that we are recreational players. Please don't take anything I say as gospel. In fact,
just probably go with the opposite to what we say. Probably a good bit of advice.
In fact, hear what we say and come back and tell us what we've done wrong, what you could adjust on, where you differ of opinion. But please don't write down everything I've said. Try to play it yourself and then get upset when your return on investment is as bad as mine is. It's kind of
we're on this learning curve, and if you're listening in, you're on that learning curve with us. So we definitely know a bit more than complete beginners. We've kind of done a lot of reading. We've done a fair bit of hand analysis now. We do understand some concepts, and I'd like to think that with Tain, with his kind of positive bankroll, and mine with my online positive bankroll, that maybe actually we know a little bit. And actually, you know what? I take it back. I think we are professional, and you should listen to everything we say.
The only way is up. The poker players.
Okay.
Anyway,
right. Are we ready? Should we get into it?
We should. Let's do it.
Okay. So look, this is a 9-handed sit and go. There are 8 players left, so we've had one person bust, but quite early on, it seems to be a bit of an erratic game. We're only at the second blind level, so blinds are 15 and 30. The starting stacks are 2,000. So currently the M is 69. So everyone's got a huge M. We've got tons of big blinds each. We're sitting in the big blind, and we have the under the gun +1 player opens for the minimum. So the big blind is 30. They put 60 into the pot. Now this player, this opener here, this under the gun +1, has been playing pretty loose. They've built a chip stack up to over 4,000. They're by far the chip leader now at 4,500 chips, and that's coming. I think that was come with quite a high chance that it could have gone the other way. That they took a couple of risks. So that's the type of player that I had a read on them in that way. We have folds, and it goes round to the button who makes the call. The small blind folds, and then us in the big blind have ace of hearts, 10 of spades. So, what are your first thoughts about this? Are we calling? I don't suppose we're folding, but is there any decision to make over some sort of raise here?
Possibly. I'm looking at the action. I'm starting to learn that early position, smaller raises are actually a lot more normal than I'd give them credit to. In fact, I've probably been overplaying and overbetting.
What do you mean
in
normal?
That position?
What do you mean by normal?
I'm still early in my understanding, but from what I gather, because you're early, doing a bigger raise to chase people out isn't going to yield the success you need that balances when all you're doing is building a massive pot, because you're still going to get the callers, and now to free bet anyone or four bet, you're putting in huge amounts. Does that make sense? So if you raise it like four big blinds, like I might have done under the gun, four big blinds, and then someone raises you to 8 big blinds, even though that's like a really small free bet, all of a sudden you're now putting in 16 big blinds.
Right.
Whereas if you'd have only raised it to 2 and they raised it to 4, you actually only need to raise it to 10, and you've got exactly the same result, because you free bet, they're going to fold in still because it's still 10 big blinds, but you've limited your exposure to building a massive pot out of position with what might be the bottom of your range.
Okay. All right then. So, with that in mind, what are we thinking then? Is this a flat call?
The other side is how the big blind plays to both checked pots. So if you're in the big blind and you check, you're capping your range massively. Where why would you not raise? Why would you let someone get in for cheap, for minimum money, when they could then draw out on even on your aces? You're essentially giving them free sight of the flop, especially when it's multi-way and you kind of want it heads up. And that's kind of where I'm at. You've got ace 10. The truth is, it's not the greatest of hands out of position multi-way.
No,
yeah, there's too many aces. There's too much. There's not an awful lot of flops that are yours and only yours. So trying to get heads up isn't the worst idea. I like the idea of free betting. There's a fold in there. I wouldn't say bad to that, but it is pretty early in the tournament. You kind of want to. These are the hands you want to be playing now, because you're not going to be able to play them later. So get a feel for them, get a feel for how people respond out of position. But yeah, I think I've talked myself into a decent sized free bet, normally 8 big blinds. So
like 240.
Somewhere around there.
Okay. Well, I opted to. The hero opted, which was me. The hero just flat calls.
Cool. So something for us to quickly consider as we enter into the flop is, what part of your range have you eliminated by not raising there? So you're looking down at aces and kings. How often are you saying, I'm out of position, but I've got aces and kings, I'm going to let Vink 35 just call him a min raise and get to see this flop? Are you raising? At which point have you eliminated that, plus all the bluffs that would have balanced that from your range?
Yeah. What about ace king? Have we kind of eradicated ace king from our range in our opponent's eyes?
For me, yes, even more so. I would, because it's more exposed.
Yeah, aces or kings, you'd almost be like, actually, there's 2 people in the pot, but let's see a flop. We've had a weak minimum bet open, and then a button call, which doesn't mean a great deal. That's probably quite wide. So let's let them see a flop. Maybe they'll catch a card, and I can get extra payday out of my pair of aces or whatnot. Yeah. So almost the aces or kings have got more chance of flat calling than ace king, which wouldn't really want to be going to a flop multi-way out of position.
Yeah. Ace queen, ace king, ace jack, even ace 10 suited, I would be saying are not overly in your range at this point. So the higher up in strength, the less and less likely it is. I just can't see why you wouldn't raise ace queen in this position. Your position is significant, being out of position to 2 players, one of them big stack.
Sure. Okay, so we go to the flop. The pot is at 219. The flop comes down 8 of hearts, ace of clubs, king of diamonds. So we hit top pair with our 10 kicker. The board is rainbow. We don't have any flush draws. So the action is on us. There's 2 other players in the pot. You've got the original opener in under the gun +1. You've got the button who's in there as well. What to do here, Tain?
Thinking ahead of in the hands, I would not be leading this because I feel that you've got value to be had, but a donk bet into the pre-flop aggressor who's got a range advantage at this point.
Yeah.
It seems an unnecessary risk. You're going to achieve more with a re-raise.
Just a flat call, or a re-raise, or a flat call maybe.
Yeah.
Because we don't, like you say, there's a lot of other aces out there. Under the gun +1, he could have ace king. He's got the ace queen. He's got ace jack. Hell, he's got pocket kings. He's got pocket aces. He's got pocket eights. He's got a lot that he could be big with.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot of aces. Really, is the worrying thing, and our ace 10 is a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, I think they've got a lot of hands that aren't connecting with that, and that they would still bluff with, which is why it's beneficial for me, in my opinion, to check this, because I feel that a bet is almost inevitable. But thinking even beyond that, the player who's sitting on the button, if they call that bet, and then you still free bet, so you've got a good squeeze opportunity, and they call again, your ace 10's dead. I would say, and that's enough information to say, without a 10 coming on the board, even with a 10 coming on the board, you might shut up shop.
If you're thinking that though, wouldn't the button after an open, like a min raise open, the button position there, he just flat called. If he had better than ace 10, if he had ace jack, ace queen, or ace king, would he not be 3-betting that? Like ace jack, maybe not. Maybe ace jack's a flat call. Ace queen on the button, to me, he would have 3-bet that. So it feels to me that really the only hand that beats you here the only button position hand that beats you here is the ace jack. And I think there's a lot of other aces he would have called with that, who knows, he might get overexcited with. It's quite low stakes. This is a $5 sit and go. He's already lost half his stack and he's at the second blind level. So, I mean, make of that what you will.
Yeah. And I think I completely agree. Their range at this point is not, they're not enjoying this board whatsoever, especially as I think it's almost inevitable that you or the person in mid position's going to be raising, under early position. So I kind of almost have disregarded them. They've got quite a smaller stack, so they're a lot more vulnerable. But then
disregarded the button.
Yeah, I just can't. They've not got range advantage anyway. So if they are winning this, it's because they've got ace 8, for instance, or they've got a pair of eights.
Yeah, which is which is very, considering how wide their range would be for just a button call. That they could have far more hands that have completely missed than that have actually hit, especially hit as strong as 2 pair.
And this is one of the rare places looking at the size of their stack. So there's 219 in the pot, and their stack is 1,188. You actually might benefit from position, because if you are to check, for instance, to the mid position player, and they put in any kind of raise, you might be able to see the all in from the button and get away from it.
Get the hell out of there. Yeah, sure. That's cool. All right then. So what are we saying then? Are we just checking this to the original raiser?
Well, let's explore. I would check, because I feel that your hand is beating enough of their range that you are looking for value at this point. But you would lose that in the event that they re-raise you. So if they re-raise, they're getting rid of, hopefully, some of the bluffs. They're getting rid of some of the hands that are happy just to call. So if they're sitting there with aces, let's just assume they've got aces, and you raise into them, well, happy days. They're probably not going to free bet you. They're just going to call, wait for you to bet the next street, call. Does that make sense? Like, that's how I see the very strongest part of their range playing. So, yeah, I've lost where I was going. So what was the talking about, whether you should raise into them?
Yeah, just whether see, to me, my thinking on this at this point is it feels like it's a check. We've got really good equity. We've got top pair with a 10 kicker, like we've discussed. There's a lot of hands that we're beating at the moment, but there's also a chance there are some better aces out there, and even two pairs, the ace king, the ace, ace queen, ace jack from that early position +1. So to me, this is a bit of a, I want to see showdown, but I really don't want to inflate the pot. Like, if we raised here and then got re-raised massive, we'd be in such a tricky spot, because it's like, well, like, we really want to see this showdown. So for me, my thinking is, let's check it with the intention of calling a raise, a bet.
100% agree. Yeah,
okay.
I like it, and that's it. That was the point that I kind of lost myself in. It's you are looking for value, but you're not looking to eradicate that by allowing them to put you in a difficult situation.
So Hero does opt to check, and then the original pre-flop opener. Do you call it an opener? Original pre-flop raiser. Original pre-flop raiser sounds right. He bets half pot, puts 110 chips in. The button then folds, so the decision is then on us. So, I mean, I know what I'm going to do, because I've already said it. I'd already made up my mind, my kind of plan for the hand. But if you've got any thoughts other than calling this?
If you raise it, and I think you're right with the call, by the way. If you are raising it, you're only doing that because you feel that worse hands are calling you, at which point I think they would call you with ace 9. I feel that they'd possibly call you with king 10.
Yeah, king 10, king queen, king jack. Yeah.
But at the same time, do you want to get that value? Well,
if you raise, yes, you might get some calls from them, but you're also going to get rid of all of their bluff hands, or I don't suppose there's anything much weaker than what we just discussed, but if you raise this, you're getting rid of all of the bluff hands, and the only ones that can continue are that handful of hands that you beat, and then some hands, obviously the ones that have you beat.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. So to put it, it's exactly the same thing. To put it in a different context, I feel that a call gives you extra streets of value, because exactly as you said, they've got bluffs that they'll keep on with, or not even bluffs. Pair of 7s, pair of 10s, pair of 9s. I think would bet a second street if it comes for clubs, brick or something. I think that you're going to get extra value that way, much more than a free bet, because that will get folds. So if they're sitting there with queen jack and they're not going to be playing to that gut shot 10, then they're folded. Okay, you've won this pot, but you've missed additional streets. There might be some scare cards that can come. For me, the queen, the jack, or the 10 are probably the worst part of it. So even though the ace 10 would give you the 2 pair, it would give me a lot more pause. So if they bet big, it would be something we should discuss about how bad that card really was, because it sets you up with 2 pair, but it completes a lot more, especially if that then puts 2 suits to the board as well, which it probably would, as we're rainbow at the moment. Then it's even more a difficult position, especially if the hand, one of their hands is the ace, for instance, of that suit, or the king of clubs, for instance. So there's a lot more to discuss, but all the same.
Yeah, it sounds like we agreed then. This is a call, right?
It is a call.
Well, Clever Clogs here decides to raise. Sorry, Hero raises here to 325.
Now,
so
yeah, my feeling on that is you've got ace 10 and it's not the best ace. I don't think it's a bad move. I just don't think it's the most
not optimal. Like in the time we've got now, I can see probably I should have just called. Although what I suppose there's a bit of merit in it. If you raise and he has got a super strong hand now, he's surely gonna re-raise, isn't he? And then you'll kind of know, and then you'll know for sure. And so maybe this is a bit of a, can you call it a probe bet, even though he's already bet and you're re-raising? It's almost like, yeah, you've raised, but that's just your standard C bet because you've got range advantage. I've got a good bit of this board with a decent kicker. I'm going to see how strong your hand really is without having to kind of call you all the way down to the river in this B. So yeah, I guess there is a bit of merit in it. I still feel like the call behind would have been better, and it really disguises the ace as well. Like we said, it keeps all of the bluff hands in. It allows him to keep bluffing at the pot if he is bluffing, and even if he's just got a good king or even a ace five, so one of the aces that you beat. So
yeah.
I don't hate it. I don't hate the raise here. I think it gives us some extra information, but I don't think it's optimal.
No, like it gives you information on their hands that kind of almost you didn't want. So if they do call, as you said, it's got rid of their potential bluffs. It's kind of, would you have done that with a bluff? It almost exposes your hand. So even though the original line of thinking is, someone's not going to be free betting with complete air, you'd imagine that is also their last aggression in the hand if it was air. So you've kind of eliminated any extra value your bluffs can get. You can't then check and call the turn and hope to jam on the river unless you've just got absolutely lucky on the cards that have come, because your bluffs are kind of out there. And someone would know that.
Although don't forget though, this player, if you remember at the start, I was saying this player was very loose and was taking some really unnecessary risks, like I said originally. Not that we should factor that in too hard, but just bear in mind that they've won a lot of chips. They've got a big stack now, and they didn't win it by slowly and cautiously building their stack. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's one of them scenarios where a call is much more scary than them jamming. If they jam, I'd actually say it's less likely they've got very, very good hands. I'd say if they jammed, I'm not really putting them on ace king, but they could still be beating you by quite a way.
They'd be like, great, either raise you up a bit more or just call you and conceal the hand a bit. Yeah, if they had a two pair here, yeah, for sure.
It depends how amateur they are. Like, this could be how amateur I am, but I wouldn't imagine a pro jamming in this position with the absolute nuts unless they've got information on you that either says they'd also do that with complete air, at which point, what are they doing it with? Polarizes their range, or that you're the type of player that will call down any ace. And I doubt they've got enough information on either of them for a jam to be done with a very good hand. Surely a jam, especially with that stack, is done as a last swing of the axe. Okay, right. You've caught me playing, king 10. You've probably got the ace, but I'm going to shove you off the hand anyway. Yeah, that's what it reads. But that's if a jam is incoming. If they just call, I think it's scarier. I'd be more worried of a call.
Well, villain does just call. So we then go to a turn, which is the 7 of hearts. So just to recap, we're in the big blind position. So we're out of position against the under the gun +1 raiser, the villain. We have ace of hearts, 10 of spades, and the board at the moment is 8 of hearts, ace of clubs, king of diamonds, 7 of hearts. So 2 hearts now on the board. We have top pair with a 10 kicker. What to do? So we've just called this flop. We just re-raised the flop, didn't we?
Let's have a quick run through. What kind of hands were they playing with up till your re-raise that the 7 has either helped, hindered, or done nothing for? And how does that shape where you're at with this hand as well? So they're definitely calling with the best of it. I feel they're calling with aces, kings, pair of eights, ace king. I feel that ace eight's definitely in their range. The fact you said they're a bit loose and they got into the flop quite easily. I would even say that king 8 could be in their range. King 7, I'd see them calling that as well. I've seen people call a re-raise only to then hope to do nothing else with the hand. That's it. I've called you up because I don't want to lay down. I've raised you to show aggression, but
Now I'm going to call because I don't want to be seen to be weak, but actually I've not got a great deal. Yeah, and actually, from what I remember of this player, that was them all over. It was just this. I didn't think a lot of their play. I thought they were overly aggressive, really risky kind of player.
Yeah, thinking through them, just on that likelihood, if you was to bet into them, are the only hands that they're calling with better than you?
I think we could bet for thin value here, but then you're getting rid of all of their bluffs.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like they've still got bluffs here. But yeah, equally, it would be thin value. I think you could get calls from King Queen, King Jack, King 10, worse aces. I think a bet here you would have. It would be marginal. You'd either have just about beat them or they've just about beat you. It's going to be a bit of a 50-50 if you make a bet. Whereas I kind of like the check. I think the check, knowing how this guy's played, right, and he knows how he looks. He knows that he looks like an absolute maniac. He's probably thinking my re-raise on the flop is because I just don't believe his c-bet. So he calls it thinking, well, yeah, I haven't got much, or it could be I've not got much. So actually, this guy's re-raising me because he thinks I've got bugger all, and my king or my 8 or whatever was worth the call. And if we check here, I think it disguises. I think it makes it look like we're that all. He called it. Actually, my re-raise on the flop didn't work, so I'm now going to check and kind of let him have it almost. So it's a little bit of mind games going on and maybe thinking about it a bit deeper than we should, but there is a bit of that. I think there is a bit of that.
What I'm getting from what you're saying is that if you still feel that you've got the best hands against most of their range, a check keeps their bluffs in, and they no.
Yeah, I like it for that though. I do like it for that.
Well, no, I'm now disagreeing. That was my initial thought. My initial thought was, what kind of player is strong enough, especially one that you've got not strong, not high quality reads on. You feel that they're a bit leaky, is what I'm saying. So, what kind of player can be check raised and then just fire back in with complete air to a check? I feel that the type,
this guy. Yeah.
I can't see anyone doing that. I feel that when you've been check raised, you're a bit Right. Yeah, they checked to me. I bet because I thought, either I'm not letting this hand go for cheap, or I'm trying to win the pot here and there. So when they've come back at them, sometimes they're just like, oh, right, okay, I've got to call and reassess. But I think it's only the first part where they're going for value. Do they come back at you? Because you've already shown you're going to raise their bets. So why on earth would you throw chips at someone with every expectation they're going to throw more chips back your way, unless that's exactly what you want? So I think a check is only good if you think you've got the best hand and you're happy to call a shove. That would be grand. Yeah. Otherwise, a blocking bet continues the check raise aggression. It might still get a call from hands that you're beating, but it certainly won't get a check raise. Like I can't, sorry, not check raise. I can't see them re-raising that someone who's just check raised them unless they've got an absolute monster anyway. At which point your ace 10's trash.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my read on it. I'm not a fan of checking here.
So you like the bet? Let's have a look then. So
well, to be clear, check. I reckon a check gets a lot of checks behind, but I don't think that's good in this position. I feel that there is value to be had.
Okay. Sure. Well, hero does opt to check, and the villain does check behind. The river then comes 2 of diamonds. So the flush didn't get there. There are no straights on the board. No possible straights. So the final board is King of Hearts, Ace of Clubs, King 7 2, and we're holding Ace of, well, it doesn't matter, Ace 10, and we have top pair with a 10 kicker. So last round of betting, we're out of position, we're first to act. What do we do here? The pot is currently 869. We have 1,473 behind. Villain is sitting on his monster stack there of 4,200. What to do?
I cannot possibly think of any hand that they've got that beats you. Consider it, yeah, I can't think of any hand they've got that beats you that either A, they would have already shown more aggression, or B, the check on the turn doesn't completely eradicate. They have completely capped any kind of strength.
What, mainly because of the 2 hearts? Do you think they would have definitely protected against those if they had a really good hand on the turn?
Well, no, you've just been someone's just check raised you. So when they then check to you, you've got to try to get a little bit of value, because if you've got a strong hand and that player is playing with nothing, the check behind.
I'm confused about when you say or are you talking are you talking about villain?
Yeah, cool, sorry. Yeah, so if the villain, why would the villain check behind? So they've called they've called your check raise. So they've called your check raise. The turn comes to 7. Why are they not trying to get any extra value from someone who's been aggressive, especially someone who's shown they've got a check raise? It could be they've got another check raise in them. The fact that they've checked to you could be that they've got air, but if you've got to try to get value. What's the worst thing that they were doing it with an 8 and you wait for them to get 2 pair? Like you might not get called, but I can't imagine any hand that they'd be holding that's happy to check the turn behind.
Yeah.
After a check raise.
That's really good. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay. So what do we do here then? So you're saying we're ahead, right? We are ahead of this guy.
Yeah.
Would he though, if just going back on that actually a little bit, what if he had a hand like Ace Jack and he was check raised him and he's seen us check and he's like, I could be ahead here, but maybe I'm not. Maybe he just wants to see a showdown now. I'm talking about on the turn. Maybe the villain just wants to see a showdown. Is he not thinking, I'll check behind, see a river, and maybe my Ace Jack's still good. I don't really want to bloke the pot anymore. Mate, I mean, that seems a bit, now I'm saying it and knowing what this player was like, it seems a little bit unlikely because he was very wicked and wild. So he was blowing pots up with far less than top pair jack kicker.
Yeah, is someone like that likely to be scared of having ace jack? Because generally speaking, only conservative players can hit top pair, third kicker, considering the kings out there. So essentially almost, no, so that would be to this. Yeah. I would see them at least free betting the turn and very much betting free betting the flop, and at the very least betting the turn. Or something, there'd be extra value in there. I can't imagine they'd look at a flop like that with ace jack and think this is not going to be a winning hand for me.
Okay.
Well, there's not enough in your range for them to be scared of, in the same way you're not overly scared of what's in their range. Yeah, you've missed it. You didn't follow up on the check raise with a turn bet.
No.
Could be being sneaky, but again, you'd give a little bit at least to try to find out where you're at. So my feeling on this at this point is that you're beating a lot of their range. The best value is from their bluffs. I reckon anything with thin value, they're going to enjoy a showdown with. So it's a risk reward one. If you feel that they've got something queen eight.
Villain, so if we feel like the villain's got queen eight.
Yeah, if you feel that the villain's got the queen eight, they're going to just check behinds. They're going to take your check and then go, okay, yep, checking behinds, nice free card.
Yeah, okay.
Or are they going to look at their queen eight and think, it's a bit crap. The only way I'm winning this is to push you off. Let's say you got, I don't know, jacks. I've got to try to push you off, or I've got to push you off your king, make it look as though I did have an ace all along. Now I'm going to jam. And I think they're just as capable. I feel that they've got enough rubbish in their hands that shove on the end, because they've got a massive stack compared to you, that shove on the end is just as likely as a check behind. But if you bet at them, I would be very concerned of anything but a shove behind. Even with a shove, you've really got to. I still think you're best, but it's going to take that'll start getting into hero call territory.
Okay. All right then. So what would you do? What's your move here? Are we checking? Sounds like you want them. It sounds like you want to allow them to bluff with a worse hand.
I think I would call to a shove, and I'd certainly call to 3/4 pot.
So sorry, you're saying the hero should check and then call.
Check call.
Yeah.
If
I like that.
If you don't feel that their betting to this point would mean that they're checking a high frequency. Like if you feel that they're going to be checking behind more than 50% of the time. So if you feel that they got to this position playing a pair of nines, playing ace, not ace eight, but playing ace six, playing queen eight, playing a hand like that, which is kind of badly connected with the board, but got a small piece of it, they're going to be checking behind every day of the week. At which point, you're at least got to try to get that bit more value. So it's a balance of, do you feel they'll check behind? If you feel that they're going to come back at you at least a good percent, then it's mathematical. And how often of that you're going to be taking their whole stack, which I think's a significantly high percent, especially if it's an all-in shove. I don't think you all-in shove after this action with ace king, for instance. Just can't see it. Could be with ace jack, but I'd take it on the chin if it was. If it's ace queen, ace jack.
Yeah.
Two hands.
Yeah, sure.
Don't put them on much else.
All right then. So we put a little bet in.
A little bet doesn't. Yeah, a little bet if you bet and they shove, I'd be a lot more worried than if you checked and they.
So are we better off then? Are we better off checking here? Checking here, see what they do. They might check behind, but likely they've got a lot of bluffs, or they've got almost, if they've got like a pair of sevens now, a pair of eights, or a weak king, and they kind of know they're probably behind, might they turn all of those into bluffs and just bluff at it, knowing that they need to get us off of an ace?
I think the lower variance play is to check.
Okay.
Because raising and calling is a lot less. You're going to win a lot less hands with a raise and a call than you are when you check and they check behind and you win, and when you check and they shove and you call and you win.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a really good way of looking at it. It's all right. The options we've got, what is going to yield the most EV? Okay. Well, hero does opt to check, and villain pot bets. So into the 869 pot, the villain schlomps in 869 chips, which is more than half of our remaining stack. It would leave us on a stack of somewhere in the region of 550, 600 chips, which wouldn't be terrible. Like, we'd still have an end value of just under 10 if we're wrong about this and he's got us beat. So we'd still have a chance to get back in the game and place. But it's not great. It's a lot of chips to be losing. But we said we're going to call, right? What have you still on that frame of mind?
Yeah, my current frame of mind is that I'm calling that absolutely 100% of the time.
Okay.
If you're not also shoving, and considering the outcome's exactly the same if you call and win than if you shove and win. If you shove and he then calls and you win, you're getting the rest of you're getting the rest of the stack in, and you're gaining that much extra profit. I personally feel that, considering the last round went check, I cannot for the life of me see whoever would bet pot with, let's just say they got ace king. Why would you pot if you got a pair of eights? You got trips. Yeah. You're clearly winning that board.
Get a value, bet an amount that the hero can call.
What have you ever got to say that they're? No one's calling that. Who's checking the check. Like, what you did? Look, who's going to call that?
Yeah, so this is fold. Villain wants a fold. He wants a fold here. He's kind of got senses behind. He might have a bit of the board, but he knows he's a bit behind, and he's trying to get us off of this. It's too big a bet. Silly.
So I feel there is value in shoving, because there are the few times that they call, I feel that they're calling because they might as well at that point. There's so much in the pot that their queen eight might be good. Not because I feel that you're gonna lose such a small percentage of them, and I feel that that's just a bit of extra value that you can gain from that position. I could be wrong, but I think that it's such a small percent that I'm wrong on that I'd go for the extra value.
I think you're right. I think that's probably a good way to play. Like, we're pretty sure we're ahead here. Although I do kind of like a lower variance just call here from a hero, because, like I say, you would still have an M of 10. There's still enough play in that. You could, on a low stakes table, you've still got a chance to build your way back up. So if we are wrong on that handful of hands that are wrong, we can still get it. And it almost feels like a jam is a little bit greedy here. It's like you kind of you've got the chance to still potentially win a big pot, but if you're wrong about it, which there is some chance, you've still got a chance to win the game. This is a sit and go. It's not like a cash table where you just reload. It's you once you're out, you're out. So I do kind of like the call.
I disagree that the variance is better from calling. You've got no chance of winning with the worst hand if you call. If you're worried about not having the best hand, you should shove every day of the week, because that's the only option that you've got of getting them to fold. Say this. Yep.
Sorry, so you're saying if we raise that we might add some fold equity into a hand, but what better hands has he got that he's folding here? like he's an extra 600 he'd have to put into a 2,500 pot. He's got plenty of chips to do it with. He'll still be like second in chips at the table. Are you saying that we can get him to fold ace jack or ace queen?
I mean, personally, I feel that we've already eliminated that from their range.
Okay.
So I don't feel that that's with an awful lot. I don't feel that that's where we're discussing. King 8 is kind of where I'm at. King 8, something like that. Possibly ace 8, maybe ace 7, ace deuce, and they've spiked it.
He's not folding that though, is he?
Oh no, but that's the whole point, that you're losing to such a small percent of their range, but they are also calling you with ace 9. They're also calling you with king queen.
I see.
So you're getting so much more value from the hand you are winning that you just pay off them few hands that are beating you, on the assumption that, and even king, ace king, even ace queen and ace jack, and maybe ace king. Okay, they are beating you, but I don't feel that they're in their range. I feel that unless they're playing in a way that's a bit difficult to read because it's bad, I feel that they're not playing with them kind of hands, at which point we've got rid of them. So what's left on the table, most of it will beat him. So go for the extra value.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I think you're right. I think that is the better play. I think there's too small a percentage of the time are they actually beating you here, and this has just been the weirdest play, and then you jam and they call and they beat you. I think there's far more times you're ahead and that you're getting an extra chunk of value here. Okay, so Hero opts to call the bet. So the final pot was at 2,600. We do just have 600 left.
Drum roll.
Ace 9 from Villain.
One of the hands we put them on.
And that was a very, it's funny because we was playing the hand and I started to think, oh, do I remember what they had? And I started to think, I think they might have had absolute air. But then I was like, I can't really remember. I just need to play it like I can't remember. And I didn't even remember that ace 9. So that's fantastic reading there. We were just ahead, and we could have squeezed for that little bit of extra value. But I guess it would have been marginal. It would have been marginal because they might have played ace jack in the same way.
Yeah. I do feel that. It's more on your reads that they were playing pretty loose. That tells me that they'd be playing king queen suited, but even with just like a backdoor, which doesn't realise by the river, yet they seem to have forgotten that the flush draw means nothing at that point. Still got a king. They've put so much in the pot now. All right, you know what? I've got you covered. I'm just going to call your all in anyway. Kind of action. I mean, the way they've kind of been playing has been that way anyway. I'm not. They've not played their position very well at all.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's tricky though, isn't it? Like if he had ace 9, he's like, I've got showdown value. Maybe that there is some other aces that this guy's got that beat me. Although not many really. Ace 10 and ace jack are about the only two hands that beat him that Hero wouldn't have 3-bet pre-flop. Like we said, ace queen, ace king are probably 3-betting. So really, it's
to me what they're doing is they've got ace 9 and they don't know whether they're playing it for value or if they're trying to get showdown value because they think they might be behind but might not be, at which point stop playing ace 9 in early position. Or if you are going to play it with a bit more aggression. Why are you playing that hand if you hit your bloody ace and you're still a bit too meek to really stamp your authority on it? Like, what's the point in playing it? Throw it away. It's offsuit. You've not got a meaty part of the board. If you're worried about a king and other hands to the point that you check to on, someone who's just check raised you then checks you on the turn, what if you're not going to define your hand at that point? You are defining it, but not how you think you are when you just check behind. You're trying to represent a better hand than you've got. So do that. You tell the story properly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the turn is where Villain could have got us off the hand. If he'd have bet a big pot, even 150% pot on the turn, it'd have been a real difficult decision for us, because we'd have seen him raise pre-flop, bet the flop, call a re-raise, and then bet the turn hard when there's two hearts suddenly on the board. He could be protecting. Suddenly we would start to feel a lot less confident about our ace 10, and we might have folded.
Yeah. It's something I'm going to keep in mind, where who would bet into someone if you've just been check raised? Who on earth would then bet into that person on the turn without a mighty strong hand? Like, why would you ever invite another check raise?
You know what I think Villain should have done? Really, he called the re-raise on the flop, the hero re-raise, and the Villain called it, and then the turn came and it was checked to him, and he checked behind, which I don't actually hate. It's like, well, he knows now he's up against heroes, got something, maybe another ace. He's got an ace as well. He's in a marginal spot as well. If I was Villain here, I think I would have just checked behind on the river. I don't know why he's gone and bet pot. Was that a bluff, or was that a value bet? Surely he must realise it's going to be marginal at this point. On the flop, it's been re-raised. Was he that? Did our check on the turn and then the river really show that much weakness to him that he was sure his ace 9 was ahead and he was betting for value? Because it certainly wasn't thin value. He bet pot. Like, this guy's thinking, I'm massively ahead here. So I think maybe we've just thrown this guy off. Maybe our betting patterns just made this guy believe he's really, really strong here. And I guess someone that is playing really quite loose and is betting, overvalue betting on things like middle pair on previous hands, maybe when he's got the ace, he's just like, oh my God, I've got a pair of aces. This is definitely one, I'm definitely winning here. And he's not thinking much more about it. And that bet on the river was a value bet. And he wasn't thinking for a second we had an ace as well and that it was marginal.
But then why would you not bet? Why would you not bet on the turn? Like, you bet on the turn in the hope you're going to get check raised again.
Yeah, it's weird.
If you think you're getting values, like, yeah, go on in. And that's what I meant. Like, yeah.
So was he bluffing, or was it a value bet?
I feel that, yeah, he was playing emotionally at that point, and when I'm check raised, I'm like, oh, you tricky, what's its name, kind of, how dare you? You either got complete rubbish or you've got a really, really strong hand. Okay, so then the turn comes and they've not recalibrated based on the board, based on the betting patterns. They're still in I don't want to be check raised again, check. And then when you've checked again on the river, they're like, oh yeah, you must be full of what's it's full of shite. That you're never going to have done that. No one checks twice. Right, well, I'm going to win this hand. I'm going to win it with a bet. No idea of value. No idea of any check raising. Yeah. It's not much. I feel that it was a very emotionally driven run, and it was just on the end. Okay, well, I can't let someone check twice to me. I'm going to win that. I'm going to win this hand then.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't work it out. It doesn't feel like the Villain played it very well anyway.
Bizarrely, I think that ace 9 is like the top of their range. Surprised to see it that strong. Even though you're winning, I'm still surprised that it was as good as it seemed. Like, I would never, if that was suited, I'd be even more flabbergasted. I'm like, okay, I really didn't put them on that. I never once considered that their hand would be suited.
Yeah, okay.
Cool, but good.
Yeah, great hand, Tain. Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
No, we're good. Feeling good about it?
Well, everybody listening in, thanks very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed that hand. We certainly did. I've learned again a little bit more today. It's always great talking about hands with you, Tain. I'll see you next time. See you later.
Take it easy. Thanks for joining.